right, you guys, this episode 48 of War Stories, and without further ado, I'm going to get straight to it. So check it out, you guys. This is going to be a quick one. I've been wanting to do a live the last couple of days. I need to do one before you guys start thinking B got rolled up off the YouTube, yada. So I need to get that live done tonight, but I want to get a war story out. You guys have been asking me about it. I dropped a couple inner demons. I've been working on this profile from hell that I've been working on for the last couple of days. So let me get a quick war story out the way before I run this live tonight. So I'm going to take you guys back to 2000, between 2000 and 2001. Now, at around this time, I had just barely dodged a bullet in Ukiah. I just came up from under a 3-strike case. I beat it on a 995 motion. Got lucky as hell because that never happens, but I beat it nonetheless. Now, after Ukiah or Mendocino County, they would end up flipping me out to Monterey County now. And this wasn't by choice. This wasn't a choice that I made. This was what parole was doing. Now, they should have shot me back to San Francisco, my original place of parole where my controlling case was at. However, two years had lapsed by then. But however, they had other plans. For whatever reason, they shoot me out to Monterey County. Now, when I find out that I'm going to Monterey County, I'm like, set up, straight up. Black Widow just broke. The Cap Saloon incident with Raymond Sanchez had just taken place in Salinas. It was burning up out there. People that were caught up in that case on a conspiracy were still running the streets. People were still getting snatched up. So Salinas was the last place I wanted to be. That place was a hotbed for indictments. So, but there was nothing I could do. You know, they paroled me out there, and that's basically what I had to deal with. You know, prior to going out there, though, I was lucky enough to hit C6 up in Pelican Bay again, where Mateo was, and I had touched base with him. That's where I signed my parole papers to go to Monterey County. The counselor come up to the grill gate. They pulled me out again like they did when I was in C2, when they shot me to Mendocino County, and was like, check it out. Your parole plans have been changed. Again, you're not going to Mendocino County. You are now going to Monterey. Man, I almost did the moonwalk. I almost backslid up away from that gate because seriously, I thought they were just trying to set me up. I was thinking, man, this is the feds working with parole, trying to throw me right in the mix. Like I said, Salinas was a hotbed for indictments, but I had to deal with it. Luckily, like I said, I had a chance to kick it with Mateo real quick. He was in like, I want to say he was like in D pod. I was in B pod in pre-release. So I didn't have an opportunity to, you know, get at him face to face, but we had a cool gunner over there that would pop the gates, pop my cell, pop his cell, and he let us fish from, you know, from section to section. And I basically told him, look, bro, I'm headed to Monterey County. He was like, are you fucking serious? He couldn't believe it. But he was like, man, bro, look, check it out. This is where my mom's pad is at. He even drew me a little map. He's like, this is where the homie Barbecue Bob's at. My sister, she's over here. And eBay is blowing my phone up. My sister lives over here. Here's, you know, go by my mom's pad, hit her up. If she, you know, they can put you in touch with my sister. So, you know, I basically left Pelican Bay with, you know, a couple of diagrams in Salinas. I also had a diagram to Smokey's house. At that time, I don't believe that Mateo had his address, but he knew where his house was located. So he's like, it's right there. You can't miss it. It's on the corner of Sanborn and East Market. And, you know, he drew a little diagram and showed me where his house was at in conjunction to, I think there's a gas station or something on the corner right there. Anyway, so, you know, I get out there in Salinas, and me and Smokey, we basically run Salinas in dual capacity, meaning like we both ran it together. Now, you know, I didn't come out there and flex my status. I've been around longer than Smokey. You know, I had more experience than him. I had more status than him, but that's not the kind of C I was. I didn't come out there and pull rank like that. I wasn't on no power play or any kind of power trip like that. Besides that, I got along with all the C's from Monterey County. It was just something about their stilo that, you know, we connected. I connected with practically all the C's out there, with the exception of a few that were caught up in that Mikey situation, and it wasn't personal. It was business that was kind of made personal. But it's not like I had personal dealings with them before, and we ended up getting into a disagreement. Matter of fact, I got recruited. We all got pulled together in San Quentin by Mikey and Big Smiley. So anyway, I get out there. Me and Smokey are out there. I fall right into line. I'm helping them establish Chinatown. What was already established, but I'm helping them. I mean, we were regulating out there in Chinatown. That was our area. It's always been NF dominated. It's always been, NF considered NF territory. Chinatown and the tracks. There's a lot of hand-to-hand, dope dealers out there. There's the tracks where it's like I've talked about it in other profiles before. It's like another world out there, a secret society. You go through Chinatown. There's a little area over there. I don't remember the name of the street, but you go down that street and there's a hole in a chain link fence. You climb through that hole and you're literally in another world. There's probably a lot of people out there in Salinas that have driven by that area and do not have any idea what's going on back there by the tracks. So you go back there and there's zombies back there. There's people in the bushes squatting down. You can't see them. You'll be walking through there and all of a sudden cats will stand up. You got little tents back there, squatters. But, it's a place where a lot of them cats go and they shoot dope. They're sitting out there on milk crates and, they got little fires. It's crazy back there. Anyway, we would go back there and regulate. That was our area. So, we had all the paisas. At that time, we had them. They all were obligated to pay kickbacks. If they wanted to sling their dope in Chinatown, they had to pay us. And like I said, these brothers, they already had all this set up before I came out there. All I did was fall into line and pick up where, Smokey had basically left off. And, there was a lot of paisas out there. Some of them wanted to get testy and didn't want to pay. And we pull up. I pull up in my Monte Carlo. He pull up in his Monte Carlo. And we jump out and we make an example out of some of those cats that did not want to pay or that just kind of got testy. So, that was one thing that we were doing out there. Salinas was a cool place to function as far as in the regiments. It was, there was a lot of carnalismo out there, at least when I was out there functioning with those brothers. Wino, Juan Gallegos, Bubba, Robert Hanrahan. You had, other cats that weren't carnales at that time, but they were laced up like they were. Gabe Caracheo. Then you had Paki, Larry Amaro. He was out there. Then again, of course, you had Smokey, Suave. Later on, you'd have Boxer, Rocky Martinez, Stalker, Martin Ramirez. Who else you have out there? Powder was another new C that was out there. Again, you had Copas. So, all that stuff had just happened as far as with Copas too over there on Palma Avenue, where I believe that's the name of the street that Copas was living on when, those brothers loaded up 2 carloads and went to go kill Copas. And in the process of going over there, that's when they drove down that street that Copas was living on, and they seen some VCU units parked outside his house doing surveillance. So they aborted that hit. Copas got lucky that night. Even though that was who I was aligned with, I got to say, he got lucky. There was 2 carloads of C's and some hermanos, Spookio being one of them. You guys have seen him on a couple of these channels already. And, some of these cats wanted to, didn't have no qualms about spilling blood or, putting in work. They wanted to make a name for themselves, in which they would later on some other individuals. But anyway, so, aside from everything that we were doing out there in Salinas, working in Chinatown, the tracks, when I would first get out, and I didn't have nothing but this crude diagram that Mateo had drafted up for me. It It was accurate. I found Smokey's house. The first time I went over there, I remember right there, a big house right there on the corner of Sanborn and East Market. And I wasn't sure if that was the right house at first, but as soon as I went in the little gate and I walked up some stairs, right there on the in the walkway in the cement, I seen somebody hit fingerprinted, probably one of Smokey's kids. He had a baseball team. He had a bunch of kids, but when the concrete was probably wet, one of the kids probably finger painted in there. But they wrote Rodriguez residence, and I knew right there, yep, I'm at the right spot. So anyway, that's how I would end up finding out where Smokey lived. Later on that day, I would go by Mateo's mom's house, and when I went over there and I asked for Sophie, Mateo's sister, she wasn't there. I remember, I think one of her little nieces or nephews answered the door, and they were like, "No, she's not here." So I'm like, "Hey, let her know such and such came by," which she didn't know who I was. And to make it worse, Mateo didn't have enough time to get at her to let her know that I was en route to Salinas. And at that time, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but there was a lot of shit going on with the Rocha sisters. Lisa was already in the mix. Sophie was basically in the shadows because the newspapers had even put out an article that said that Rico had got caught with a BNL list in his cell, and the Rocha sisters were on it. So Sophie was thinking that anybody coming at her was trying to kill her. They were trying to whack her. And, not only was she just walking on eggshells because of that right there, but she was also a co-conspirator to that Raymond Sanchez case. She was out on bail at the time, but she was still caught up in all that. So she was tripping. So when I would get out, I went to the mom's pad, left a number. Later on, she would call. At that time, I'm at a hotel. It was the same situation. Parole had to put me up in a hotel. I think it was the Rodeo Inn, right there on the corner of, I want to say, what is that, State Street? I can't even remember, but it was right there on the corner. Those of you that are from Monterey County, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the Rodeo Inn is right across the street, kitty corner from where they always had the rodeos out there, that big, like that little arena or whatever that is right there. Anyway, the fairgrounds or whatever. So, later on that night, Sophie would call me leery. She was leery. She was like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "This boxer from Frisco." And she's like, "What's up?" You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Hey, I'm coming," because I already knew what was up. So I had to basically let her know, "Hey, I'm coming in peace. I'm with your brother." You know what I'm saying? And this is who I know out here. And I knew who she was aligned with. So I'm like, I'm not part of that other side that, I know you guys got a lot of drama going on, but I'm from Frisco. You know what I mean? I'm on your brother's team, but I paroled out here and I don't have no resources. I don't know anybody. I need you to be that link to hook me up with everybody. I don't got Wino's hookup. I don't got no way of getting that. None of these cats. So later on that night, she would come by. She would swoop me up. Swear, true story. She picked me up in a truck that it was like one of them little, I can't even remember, a dually. But when I get in, like the stereo's ripped out and there's wires hanging out the dashboard. So I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? What's up with this? Somebody get you for your deck, your system. And she's like, nah. She was like, the feds did that, or the cops. So apparently what they did was they put a listening device in her truck. And when the case kicked and when it all kicked off and they started arresting everybody and those that they had under surveillance, they went, snatched their truck up, tore that shit out the dash, and just left it like that. But I was like, damn, you mean I'm sitting in a truck that the feds had a listening device in? I was like, man, this is bad business out here. So anyway, that night I'm running around with Sophie and her homegirl Melissa. And poor Melissa, man. I heard she got caught up in a lot of stuff, man. Like she's out there using now. For those of you that are from Monterey or from Salinas, you guys know who I'm talking about as well. The Melissa that used to be with Crow, Sophie's one of her best friends. Anyway, so we're running around. They end up linking me up with who I need to get linked up with. Wino, some other C's, and everybody that's out there. Animal, Corn Nut, just all the fellas. Gabe got a chill. But I still continue to kick it with her for a while. And Mateo wasn't tripping. His sister's a big girl, and he basically had told me, "Hey, bro, my sister, she's wild, homie. I'm telling you right now, bro. She loves the carnas, bro. You know what I'm saying? And you're certified, homie. I'm just letting you know, but there's no love lost. She's a big girl. Do what you do." So I did what I did, straight up. But I don't want to get off track, but it's crazy because I get out there, she's like, she tells me that she's single and she's not with anybody. And then one day, the brothers out there see me always kicking it with her, always at her pad. And at first they figured, she's just kind of driving me around, helping me make my little pit stops, helping me take care of my business. But then, I start spending the night. One morning, Bubba came over. And he's like, "Hey, B, let me holler at you, bro." So he pulls me outside and he's like, "Hey, Kana," he goes, "Check it out, bro." He goes, "Hey, man," he goes, "I got love for you, boy. You're my boy." He goes, "But Sophie's with Stalker, right?" And Stalker, he's a Kana. And I was like, "What? Hell nah, bro." She told me that they weren't together and that, they weren't even in a relationship. It was just, they was just kicking it, bro. But hey, if he's claiming her as his lady, I'm gone, bro. You ain't got to say nothing else. He's like, "I'm just giving you a heads up, homie. I don't want to see you get caught up." He goes, "Man, Sophie, I love her to death. But, with her, it's been the same thing over the years, bro. Different faces, different carnales, bro. She loves the seas." And I'm like, "Yeah, Mateo told me, bro." And he's like, "So, it is what it is." He's like, just be careful, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see you get caught up over no bullshit." And I'm like, "Man, I'm gone, bro." You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I'm gonna hit her up and ask her why she even put me in a position like that. So anyway, I ended up hitting her up, and she swore up and down they weren't together and that she didn't have no love for the dude. And eventually it just kind of faded out. But anyway, that's not the war story. That's just, it is what it is. It was what it was. That's who I was kicking it with at that time. Anyway, so also around that same time, well, at that same time, we're also plugged in with leadership out there. Corny, Pinky, Skip, all them brothers, they're all in. At that time, they were all in Santa Rita. That's where they housed them at that time. Later on, they would end up going to the Glenn McGuire federal facility over there in Alameda, in Oakland. But at that time, they were in Santa Rosa. And, me and Smokey, and this is not no arrogance or, I'm not trying to make myself look like I was doing more than what I was. But honestly, me and Smokey were doing everything for leadership. They trusted us. Not only did they trust us, but they knew that we knew what we were doing out there. We were both experienced carnales. Smokey had some experience, but I had been around for a while by that time. I had, aside from building the regiments that I had built over the years in different counties, there's a lot of things that just being a part of the organization, being a part of things that were going on in the cuts that, I had that credibility. I had the status by then. So Corny and them brothers, they had faith in me and Smokey. And as far as like the things that they needed us to do, they would call either me or Smokey. "Hey, we need you guys to go out there to the valley. Go get with these brothers. Or we need you to go to Watsonville. Go get with BJ and help him with these issues. Or go to San Francisco. Go pull up Nicoya and Chewy and help, get them tied in with network with the connection. Or, go out there to Sacramento and get with those brothers." I'm telling you, we were running around like chickens with our heads cut off. They were sending us everywhere. And it was all good. At the time, the way I looked at it is it was, I took a little bit of pride in knowing that they had that that confidence in us. They knew we were going to get it done, whatever it was. We were going to take care of it. So anyway, I get a directive one time, and you guys are going to hear more about. I'm going to speak on some of these other issues and other war stories, but I'm not going to get too detailed into some of the things that happened just out of respect. Even though some of this stuff came out, police reports, and some of this stuff already came out, I'm just not going to talk too directly about it. But anyway, we get a special assignment. I get word that, we have a special assignment that, Corny wanted to get to us. And at first I heard it from one of the females that was facilitating the messages through the phones. And, that's basically what she said. Now, when I heard that we had a special assignment coming up, I thought we were going to drop a body. That's usually what it means. That's usually what it means. I'm just going to say that. So come to find out. So, I get it Smokey and I let him know, hey, bro, this is what it is. And this is probably what's up, bro. So, Smokey was good with it, though. Me and Smokey, we took care of a lot of shit out there. And I got nothing but an immense amount of respect and love for that brother. When I say we've been in the trenches and we did some dirt, we've been in the trenches and we did some dirt. And it stayed there. It stayed there. You understand what I'm saying? It never came to light. And that's how it's supposed to be, right? So anyway, when we get a little bit more info on this assignment, basically what it was is Corny wanted us to go out to Sacramento, and he wanted us to meet up with Spider Favela's sister, his little sister out there. There was a reason why we had to meet up with her. That's all I knew. I still thought it was a body. We were going to have to whack somebody. So, the day that I end up calling her up, and I forget what her name was, Lowrider Girl or something like that. But anyway, I call her up and I'm like, hey, check it out. We're out here in Salinas right now. We're about to make that drive out there. So, where am I going? Tell me where you want me to go, where you want us to meet you at. So we're both packing. We both got pistols on us, and, we're basically getting ourselves mentally ready for what's happening out there. I honestly thought it was either an MM member out there that they had found, that they had got a location on, or it was a DO, or there was somebody in bad standings. Because usually, not usually, but a lot of times, that's how it will go down. You have a couple brothers from a different county come in, lay somebody down, and then they'll get up out of there. So we're driving out there to Sacramento, and whatever it is, we're ready for it. Me and Smokey, we really bonded out there together, as far as like the things that we were involved in and what we were going to do in different scenarios, hypotheticals, and we were on the same page. We thunk a lot alike. Yeah, we thunk. That's what I said. Not think, but thunk. We thunk a lot alike, and that's why we connected and we worked together so well, is because of that. So anyway, we get out there. We get out there to Sacramento, and we hit a liquor store. At that time, I'm drinking 211s like water. I need one every hour, every two hours. That's alcohol at that time. It just kept me calm. I still had that PTSD real bad, and anxiety used to still fuck with me a lot. So alcohol that's what I needed to help take that edge off. Anyway, so we hit a liquor store, and we finally end up pulling up to a pad where where she's at. She gave me an address. So we go into the house. She lets us in, and she rolls out the red carpet. Me and homeboy looked out of place out there. We both come in. We both got guns on us, and we looked out of place. And we go to the backyard. She had a little patio area, and I take off my shades, and and I sit down and I pop my beer open, and so I'm like, okay, so check it out. I got a message from the homie from Corny, and that is over there with your little brother or your big brother, whatever. And basically, for whatever reason, all I got was that Corny wanted us to meet you out here. For what? I don't know. But now that we're here, go ahead, lay it on me. What is it? What's up? So she's like, well, she's like, I talked to my brother, and I could only tell him so much on the phone because how they're monitoring the phones. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. So she's like, so I kind of told him a little bit about it, and the potential, and how everybody could kind of benefit from it. And I'm listening to her, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but she seemed kind of loopy, airheaded a little bit, and she was kind of talking in circles, and I'm like, I'm just listening to her. So she's like, anyway, there's a house down the street on the corner across the street, and there's this guy in there, and he's selling a lot of dope, right? He's selling a lot of dope, and I know he's got a lot of money in the pad. I've been in there, I've been over there before, and they keep a shitload of cash over there. And I was thinking, it was like, if they could get somebody to come out here and basically, hit them and get the money, we could all benefit from it. I'm listening to her like, what do you mean we could all benefit? So I'm like, let me get this right. So, well, let me ask you something first. I asked her, I said, so you know this individual personally? And she's like, yeah, I've been over there before. I've been over there to cop for other people. And I know that this is where he keeps his money, and I've seen it. And she says, well, I asked her, I said, so what does this dude got a pistol? Who else is in the house with him? Who's there? Tell me a little bit about that. Who else is there? Is there kids in the house? Does he got a wife? Does he got dogs? So she's telling me, yeah, he's got dogs. I don't know if he's got guns, and no, there's no kids, and he's got an old lady that comes through, but she don't live there. So I'm like, I look at Smokey, and I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Seriously. So I look at her, and I'm like, hey, look, with all due respect, so what were you thinking? You're thinking that like me and the homie come out here, go kick the door in, go find the cash and the dope, and then what, come back, split it with you, and then get up out of here? And she was like, yeah, she was like, it's easy. All you guys got to do is kick the door in. I'm like, man, yeah, at that point, I was hot. I was hot. I didn't tell her, but it's like, we got our minions to do stuff like that. The little brothers, we got crews to take care of stuff like that. If I would have knew this was what it was about, I wouldn't have drove all the way out here for this. I'm like, did you get it? Well, she'd already clarified that, because I was upset, because I was like, why would Corny send us all the way out here for something like that? And obviously, she didn't talk to Corny. She talked to her brother, and she'd already said that they could only say so much on the phone, which I would have thought that they would have knew, like, well, how are we going to send these brothers out there? What does it pertain to? It's like, I don't want to send them out there on a dry run if it's for some bullshit. So I'm like, hey, check it out. I tell her, with all due respect, it's not going to happen today. We'll get back with you. If it's going to happen, I'll be in contact with you, but we got to go. I was under the impression that it was about something else, or I thought that somebody out here was in some kind of situation that needed assistance or something like that. But that's not on you. That's for me to, that's on me to deal with. So, I got your number. We'll get with you. After we touch base with your brother and those guys over there in Rita. So we left. We ended up leaving. Now, I would end up getting that Corny. The next time I had a visitor, I shot my visitor up there with, basically a response to the Sacramento situation. I'm like, brother, you know, with all due respect, man, you know, she seemed like, well, first of all, I told him it was a big waste of time to go out there and to meet her. And I'm like, bro, do you even know what it was about? She wanted us to go out there, kick some dude's door in that she didn't know, you know, she didn't know if this guy had guns. She didn't know nothing about the setup. But she thought we were going to come out there, just kick the door in, bread her out, and then get back on the freeway and go. I'm like, man, bro, that's not what we do. I mean, you know that. And, you know, Corny ended up getting back at me. He's like, look, we didn't know. We thought it was about something else, something that had a little bit more potential. But, you know, it is what it is, man. Spencer, you know what I'm saying? It's a learning experience. And we'll have Spider get with, you know, his sister. So, I mean, you know, there's situations like that that were taking place out there. You know, I was in direct contact with leadership. That's who I was getting my directives from, you know. And when I say that I was working directly up under leadership, you know, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but I was part of leadership. I was getting my directives from Corny, Pinky, Tibbs when he was still around. And yeah, they had more status than me. They were appointed generals. But you know, like when I was up there in the Bay, I was part of the leadership circle. I was part of that. So, you know, I was one of the C's that was fortunate enough to have a date to be able to come in and out to still be able to parole, like Mike Eel. So, you know, and there was only a few of us that had status like that. At one time, Achali had status like that, you know, because he was in the same section with Cuete, and Cuete made him his protege. And, you know, with all due, you know, to give him credit where credit's due, he'd been around, he put some work in, and, you know, he wasn't fake. He wasn't a fake cat. You know, a lot of people question him because he's from down south and, you know, some other things. But actually had been around. He had a lot of schooling, and, you know, he was a sharp individual, and, you know, he was for real. But that's another story. Anyway, this wasn't no shoot 'em up, bang, bang, somebody dying and all that. But I'm going to be going into a lot of these kind of stories right here. You know, some of them you guys are going to hear about us whacking people and situations that happen. Like I said, I'm going to delve off into it, but I'm just not going to get into some of the details. And out of respect for some of the individuals that were a part of it, I'm not going to bring their names up, you know, only because, you know, it's not because I don't want to put anybody on blast or anybody's going to catch a case or nothing like that, but it's just better that way. And it's a respect thing. So anyway, I know this one was short. You know, I would go on. Well, you guys are going to hear this in Inner Demons as I go on. See, that's what I'm talking about. When I do Inner Demons and I do these war stories, they kind of go in hand in hand. So, you know, when I talk about some of this stuff that I'm talking about now, once I get to it in Inner Demons, I'm not going to be able to go back over it. So I'm going to have to spin off and talk about something else because you guys have already heard it, you know. So it is what it is, man. But, you know, I'm going to think about some of the other stories and how to get them out to you guys. Some of this stuff I got to be careful about because there's some things that we were into, man, that I'm just not trying to get caught up in, you know, whether even if it's speculation or somebody thinking that they got something, you know, they got a little morsel or a little kiblet or something. So I'm going to give you guys the dirt, man. But, you know, again, I got to be careful about how I talk about some of this stuff. Anyway, this episode 48, this your boy B. I'm going to get that live out to you guys right now. And, hopefully I'll be able to knock that profile out within the next couple of days. I'm gonna get back on these war stories. I hit you guys with 2 Inner Demons the other day. I'm gonna drop another one tomorrow and keep these war stories going. Again, ain't nobody getting rolled up off the YouTube yada. I'm still here. It's just there's other things that have been pulling me away from, you know, I have to do my due diligence in other areas, and that's what it is. Anyway, this episode 48, and with that said, I'm out.